Good evening and welcome to the public meeting of the Halton District School Board for Wednesday, February the 7th, 2018. I'd like to welcome everyone and remind everyone that this meeting is video voice recorded and live streamed from the hdsb.ca website. I would also like to ask that you turn any devices to silent mode. So we just have one trustee absence, and that is Trustee Metropolitansky, and Associate Director David Bogue is also not here this evening, as well as Superintendent Blackwell. We'd like to take a moment to honor the land. Halton, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and the Métis. From the Anishinaabe to the Attawattaron, the Haudenosaunee and Métis, these lands surrounding the Great Lakes are steeped in Indigenous history. As we gather today on these treaty lands, we have the responsibility to honor and respect the four directions: land, waters, plants, animals, ancestors that walked before us, and all the wonderful elements of creation that exist. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation for sharing their traditional territory with us. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda? Trustee Amos, seconded by Trustee Oliver. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, I think. If anybody would like to sing the Jeopardy song, you're welcome to do so. Actually, there might be copyright, don't do it. Okay, all in favor. And that carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Are there any declarations of possible conflict of interest? Seeing none. Okay, so next we have our Inspire Awards. Everyone in the Halton District School Board community can nominate or be nominated families, neighbors, related organizations, staff, students, and school volunteers. The Inspire Award is given to an individual or group that is formally or informally associated with the Halton District School Board who support our students and their achievements through exemplary caring, initiative, innovation, and creativity. Award recipients choose where they would like to receive their award, and this evening we are happy to have 3 presentations. There were supposed to be 4, but unfortunately a person couldn't make it. So I would like to start by calling Trustee Donna Daniele up to the front. And I'd like to present the award, and I would like to invite Natalie Shaw up as well. So Natalie is a secondary school teacher at Gary Allen High School in Milton. She has overseen the nutrition program at Gary Allen for several years and consistently advocates for student nutrition within the community. Her diligence, conscientiousness, and reliability ensures the nutrition program runs smoothly for students and staff. Natalie supports student nutrition and Halton Food for Thought both within the school and as part of the broader community. Congratulations. And I invite you to come even closer to take a picture. Come forward. Next, I would like to call up Trustee Amy Collard to present an Inspire Award to Gufran Albander. From the beginning of her high school career, Gufran has brought awareness to important causes within her school and community. She continuously demonstrates a vested interest in the well-being of students at her school and has organized and led numerous events to raise awareness about mental health issues and share information on healthy living and the importance of acceptance. She is a student senator for Robert Bateman High School, chair of the WE Club, and a student in the IB program. Gufran is always working to bring compassion to the community and into the everyday lives of her fellow students. Congratulations. Next, I would like to call up Trustee Jean Gray to present an Inspire Award to Gina Van Rolte. Gina has expanded and revamped the student nutrition programs at George Kennedy Public School in Georgetown. Her personality energizes students and fellow volunteers, and she goes above and beyond to create a welcoming environment for everyone. She assists with menu prep and shopping and encourages students to try new fruits and vegetables. Gina has been an advocate for Halton Food for Thought. She has delivered an inspiring address to supporters from across Halton Region in attendance at the annual Halton Food for Thought breakfast fundraiser and continues to support its vision to ensure no student goes hungry at school. Congratulations, Gina. the following Inspire Award recipients will have their awards presented at their school or workplace. Cargill Cocoa Plant in Georgetown, supporting Harrison Public School. Cara McPherson, Robert Little Public School. Tracy Tucker, Tiger Jeet Singh, and Jenny Flanagan at J.M. Dines. Denye's. Congratulations to all of them as well. So we have no delegations or presentations this evening, so we are up to our consent agenda items. Do any consent agenda items require discussion? Seeing none. So I'm going to put the motion on the floor. Be it resolved that the Halton District School Board approve the consent agenda action items and receive the information items for February 7th, 2018. Moved by Trustee Pappin, seconded by Trustee Reynolds. Any discussion at all? Seeing none. All in favor? That passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We are now up to our ratification action items. Am I right? Yeah. Vice Chair L. Harrison, do we have any business from private session that requires approval?
Well, yes, in fact, we do. We have two motions. Motion M18-0025, be it resolved that the Halton District School Board approve the matters from private session, February 7th, 2018, re property matters. And, okay, moved by Trustee Graves. And seconded by Trustee Daniele. Any discussion? Oh, seeing none. All in favor? Okay, that passes unanimously, and we have a second one, Madam Chair. M18-0026, moved by, okay, here we go. It is, be it resolved that the Halton District School Board receive at a minimum quarterly a report on the status of, be it resolved that the Halton District School Board receive at a minimum semi-annually a report on the status of present and future property holdings. The report shall include currently owned or leased sites not used primarily as schools and all planned future facilities. Moved by Trustee Graves, seconded by Trustee Collard. All in favor? Any discussion first? No. Seeing none. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Thank you. That's all from private.
Thank you, Vice Chair L. Harrison. We have no action items for this evening. So we are now up to communications to the board, beginning with the student trustee report from this evening. Trustee Mansour.
This is my first solo student trustee report. It's going to be relatively short because we haven't had a student senate meeting since January 16th. As you all know, this time period is exceptionally busy for secondary students as we have semester 1 exams. Our next senate meeting is scheduled for February 20th, less than 2 weeks from now. So hopefully we'll have an update for our next board meeting from Senate regarding that. We showed you guys a video designed to promote student senate and the role of student trustee, where I pointed links into. So we have worked with Mr. Bogue regarding distributing it, and have had the link sent out to the elementary and secondary principals and vice principals. We hope that this it shows a lot of the students across the board who are unaware of a lot of the board level student voice opportunities that exist within Halton, that they exist and that they should go and run for them. And finally, next week we are off to Ottawa for one of the Ontario Student Trustees Association's conferences, the Board Council conferences. I just want to thank the board for giving us this amazing opportunity, because being involved at the provincial level is just an amazing experience. It's phenomenal to have the chance to work with students across our province, working to amplify student voice at such a broad level, and it's kind of incredible. Thank you.
Director Miller would like to say something.
And through you, Chair Drabantz, I would just like to say you're thanking us and the Board of Trustees. We're also very proud of you and your representation of our board. So,
Thank you so much. Trustee Harvey Hope.
Thank you, through you, to the student trustee. I did, although I was away attending funerals in January, I did manage to catch the video that you were referring to, and I just wanted to say, add to my colleagues at the time that said that it was a fantastic video, and hopefully we also get a link so that we individually can be sharing it with people. So that would be good.
Yes, for sure. I'll send out a link to everyone here.
Thank you very much. And so now we're up to action items for February 21st. So the first item is item 5.2.1, Milton number 10 boundary report, report 18020 on page 26 of the board package. Thank you very much, Superintendent Newton and Truffin. Welcome.
Thank you. Through the chair this evening, my partner, Superintendent Gord Truffin, who chaired this committee, and a huge thanks to Trustee Donna Donnelly, who was also the chair, co-chair with Gord. We are very pleased to send this report to you. In front of you, you also have a hard copy of the proposed recommendations, scenario 10C, along with the number graphics to accompany those. We're very excited to lead our subsequent year boundary review in Milton as we're opening another school, and believe that in all of the Halton board, building strong communities by our schools representing a sense of belonging, positive relationships built on developmental assets, that we can build thriving communities through the use of our schools. So they are more than just buildings, but in fact an emotional attachment to such. Therefore, boundary reviews are always invoking emotions because people get attached to their schools and they don't want to move. However, we were motioned to do this boundary review in September by this board because the 4 schools in question, if we had left them alone and not built another school, would easily climb to 2,000, if not 3,000 students in an elementary school within the next 10 years. So this boundary committee was instrumental in meeting every other Tuesday night. So it's Tuesday dates, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock from October to January. This was a fantastic group of parents and the planning team under the direction of Don Ronzelli and Gord and Donna. The 4 schools in question had excellent parents who not only came to learn about boundary reviews, but also to represent their communities and not represent their own special interests. These parents came from Tigerjeet Singh, Ann J. MacArthur, Boyne Public School, and P.L. Robertson. Mitch Gundy was instrumental, along with Michelle Daguerre, in posting on our website within 48 hours every minute and every scenario that was generated. Gord was also instrumental within 24 hours of sending out similar emails to all the school communities that were involved to keep parents and the community in a constant check so that they had communication. Out of the 22 scenarios that were generated by this amazing team, we have come before you this evening with the recommendation for 10C. We believe that this recommendation hits the criteria that we've set in all boundary reviews, but particularly for this one, in that the English and French immersion programming will be viable in all 5 schools, counting Milton number 10, that it does aim to keep families together regardless of program area, that it reduces the number of moves that students have had to endure in Milton, that there is a big push for walk to schools despite it being snowy today and buses canceled, and that we do believe there's a balance of enrollment between all 5 schools in this southwest corner. We also are pleased to announce that following from last year's boundary review, it wasn't a one-hit wonder, but that team of over 12 schools and their parents asked if we, when we made Milton 10, would please look at the numbers of enrollment at P.L. Robertson, Boyne, Escarpment View, and Tiger Jeet to please consider that in the next boundary review. And I have to say that this team did a good job at reaching back and looking forward. We've also charged the new team that when the school is open in 2020 for Milton number 11, that they too will reach back and look at this particular boundary review and make adjustments to keep the balances between all of the 6 schools that will be in that area at that time. So at this point, we would like to open the floor to questions. We would like to open scenario 10C. We would like to start the French immersion program in grade 2. We would like the English program to start in JK and go to grade 7. And we believe that the number 687 from a staffing point of view is a healthy number for the new Milton 10 because it provides opportunity to hire specialty teachers, particularly a teacher librarian, physical education, and the arts. At this time, I will turn it over to my partner, Superintendent Truffin, to add any comments before we take questions.
Superintendent Noonan, I think you covered it very well, so we'd be happy to take any questions. It was a pleasure to chair this with Trustee Danielli, and it was great to work with Trustee Graves and the 8 parents who were heavily involved in this boundary review. They did a great job, and to the planning staff.
So we do have a few speakers on the list. We're going to start with Trustee Collard.
Thank you. When I'm looking at scenario 10C, I see that the area south of Louis Saint Laurent and on either side of Bronte and Regional Road 25 don't currently have any houses in them. And I'm going to make a presumption that we're not anticipating houses being there in the next couple of years, but perhaps later than that, and that we're hoping that we will have funding for additional schools in time for that, because when I look at the numbers, it's a little bit scary looking, 10 years down the road and seeing over 3,000 students at one school. And so I'm thinking that you guys have already determined that we're going to need 2 more schools down there.
Certainly, through the chair to Trustee Collard, that's Milton number 11. And that developed, although it's unsure right now whether it will be on the east side of Regional Road 25 or on the west side of First Line, but certainly that Milton number 11 in our capital priorities, that will address the growth at Milton 10 come 2020.
Thank you.
Trustee Gray?
Yes, thank you, through the chair. In pages 29 and 30, there's reference to Martin number 10 public school. That would be presumably supposed to be Milton number 10?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
Thank you for your good eyes. That should be Milton number 10.
Yeah, thank you. So my question about this plan is I'm interested in the FI. You have FI going into the Milton number 10 being phased in, that's starting at the grade 2 level. And I think it's around 2020 that's happening. Is that correct? Or am I out by a couple of years? Is it 18?
Through the chair to Trustee Gray, it actually starts September 2018 in grade 2. And we're adding an additional grade each subsequent year. This is something very similar that we did at Tiger Jeet Singh.
Right, okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for that clarification. So then in looking at the numbers, as of 2020, of course, it's over. And I'm wondering how sure you are about the FI projections, given where we're at with the program viability, just the beginning of that whole new program in French immersion. Just wondering how sure you are of those, and if you are sure, then is that a program that is good for Milton number 10, given that as of 2020 it is oversubscribed as a school?
Thank you, and through the trustee to the chair. We looked at an English-only track school and not incorporating French immersion. We believe through our planning numbers that we feel that we are on target for the French immersion program. And the big push was to keep families together so that siblings, maybe one sibling would be in one program, that still allowed families to be at the same school if the child chose the other program, whether it be French immersion or English. We're fairly confident with those. We've been watching the trends for French immersion in grade 2, particularly around this area. And we're finding that these numbers are coming in for a grade 2 startup in our other French immersion schools, particularly Anne J. MacArthur and P.L. Robertson, that they are hovering in those number areas right now for grade 2 uptake.
If I may add, Superintendent Newton, one of the things that this boundary does do is it attempts to keep families together regardless of program choice. And if you're looking at the map 10C, if you look at Anne J. MacArthur, you look at the pink area, and then you go down to the French immersion. The French immersion does dip down, but that area towards Tiger Jeet Singh, regardless of program choice, they're going to be at Anne J. MacArthur. So, if you look at the area just south of P.L. Robertson, I think that's orange. Regardless of program choice, English or French immersion, they're going to be in the same school. So we think that's a real positive about this boundary that we have in front of you.
Trustee Daniele?
Thank you, and that's actually the piece that I wanted to talk to. I want to say my sincere appreciation and congratulations to Superintendents Truth and Newton, as well as Don Manzella and his team, and the parents that took part in this. This is not an easy situation. Just in the last few days, we're hearing about, because if you notice, there's a group here that have been attending Boyne that will be redirected to Anne J. MacArthur to keep the English and the French students together, to keep families together. That does cause some consternation, and especially because it is so close to Tiger Jeet Singh. And I know we're receiving a lot of comments from parents in that area, not understanding why they can't go to Tiger Jeet Singh. But with somebody just approached me today, I had lunch with somebody today who had trouble understanding, and I thanked her for bringing it to me. So we need to make more of the public aware of the fact that primary class size and other initiatives and just the general rapid growth in Milton means sometimes schools get overcrowded, but that we do have a commitment that wherever possible, these children will go, if it's ever possible, they will go to Tiger Jeet Singh. We will have them go to their neighborhood school. When they don't go to their neighborhood school, as with the Triangle people with Martin Street, it's because we simply do not have a choice. The school isn't big enough. That was one of the many complexities that was involved in this boundary review. And Gord, in particular, I thought you handled that very, very deftly and very respectfully with all the people around the table. And again, I'm very, very honored to have worked with both of you and Dom and his team. Thank you so much.
Director Miller?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Grabantz. I just wanted to jump on or piggyback on Trustee Daniele's remarks, just for the public digestion. Both Trustee Daniele and Trustee Graves are well aware of the challenges that we face in Milton, and we've been facing them for some time. The rapid population growth there makes it very challenging for us to accommodate the kids to keep pace with the growth of the population. just so the public is aware that the process to build a school and put a new elementary school is roughly 3 to 5 years, and houses can go up in 8 to 9 months to a year. So this has posed great challenges for the board, and we're empathetic, and we feel badly that some students end up in one school only to be moved to another school 2 to 3 years later. But we've got class size limitations from grades 1 to 3, class caps, so we can't grow those. And we have building limitations. We have portable limitations on all these sites. So for some kids, for some families, this will not be seen as a winning solution at this point. However, I would say this, that our experience in Milton, with the staffs we have in the schools and the communities the kids are living in and the support of their families, that ultimately the students are all finding that they're in a winning situation because they're at brand new schools with great staffs who care about them and are working towards trying to help them. So I just wanted to acknowledge what Trustee Daniele had said. We understand, but the challenges are very, very great. So.
Just as a quick follow-up, I was going to finish with Trustee Kim Graves, who brings a level of common sense to everything that she does. Thank you for that.
Okay, Trustee Harvey Hope. Ann Harvey.
Thanks. Through you, Madam Chair, just a comment. I normally get this package by paper. And when I was reading through it, I was also having massive internet problems the last 3 days in my house. There is no reference anywhere to the street names in this report. There is only a reference to 10C link to the board website, which is, I think, how we ended up with these maps, which is great because they're even bigger than the ones I managed to print later this afternoon, jumping through a bunch of hoops. But my concern is, if it's not in the report, that link better stay right where it is. And we don't always keep the website exactly the way it is. So I'm just suggesting, probably for future reference, that there be some miniature map or something in the actual report, and don't rely completely on a link to the boundary review website page. Granted, there's a lot of information there, and you only really need the map for the one you're recommending. You don't need all 4. But just so that between now and whenever that My School Boundary Map thing updates in the website, it's easy to find.
Trustee Oliver.
Through you, Chair. Thank you, Superintendent Truffin and Trustee Daniele and the Boundary Review Committee for the wonderful work that you've done. I appreciate the complexity of the task. And a special thanks to the parents that were involved in this. That's huge dedication on their part, and job well done. And I just want to stress that I'm very grateful that the criteria of keeping the English and French programs viable and keeping families together regardless of program choice and the proximity to school to allow kids to be able to walk to their own neighborhood school were kept at the forefront as you made those decisions. So thank you.
Trustee Graves.
Thank you. I just first want to echo all of the thanks around the table, especially to the two at the front. This is, yeah, it's a big undertaking. The one thing I wanted to just make trustees aware of, and also the public, is within that Tiger Jeet Singh block, you see the green area. In the top left-hand corner of that area is a newly to be determined area, and that's because right now it's a vacant piece of property that will eventually have development on it, and because Tiger Jeet is so full that students who live close can't attend, that's going to be designated for now as non-designated, and will be done at a future boundary review, and it could be one similar to the one in the Alton Village area that was done on our modified process in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. And we seem to have exhausted our speakers list, so thank you very much. We will see you again at the next board meeting. So the next information item is number 522, Trustee Conference Attendance, Report 18024 on page 31 of the board package, and I will be speaking to this. So I brought this forward. I was invited by the Ontario Public School Board Association to represent the board at this learning session put on by the Ministry of Education on human rights, ethics, and governance. And as per other professional development opportunities, I will share the learnings and resources from the session with the rest of the trustees. Does anybody have any questions at all? Trustee Collard?
Thank you. I noted that you were asking for the money to come from the reserve account for trustee professional development. And usually when it's only one trustee going, we ask for it to come from the leadership account instead, because the trustee reserve account is usually used for something that all trustees are invited to participate in. So I was wondering if you would make a change there. And I was also wondering, since the conference is next week, whether or not you needed the rules to be waived, and if so, then I will do that. Make that motion.
Okay, I'm fully supportive of adjusting the account in the motion, and I appreciate the waiving of the rules. Your waiving of the rules. Is there a seconder on that? Trustee Gray? So we will, does anybody have any discussion on waiving of the rules? Okay, there is no discussion on waiving of the rules, so we're just going to set that up. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Thank you. So I just want to make sure that I have the right account. Trustee leadership account.
We'll look it up. I think
Okay, so I'll put the motion on the floor. Be it resolved that the Halton District School Board use a portion of the trustee leadership account to cover the accommodation costs for Andre Grabentz to attend the Human Rights, Ethical Leadership, and Good Governance program for Ontario School Board trustees offered by the Ministry of Education, to be held February 14th and 15th, 2018, up to a maximum of $350. Moved by Trustee Daniele, seconded by Trustee Collard. Any discussion? Go ahead, Trustee Hart.
Thank you. So just to clarify, they're going to make sure we get the right name of whatever the account is, that it's the one we use for other things. And it's for accommodation, because there is no registration cost, right? So this position was applied for, and one of the position at the conference was one of the things trustees had to put their name forward for. And so I, because of the way they chose and wanted to make sure that they had representation from all different boards, I agree that this is one of those things where you're representing us as our board, which is why I would agree that it should be coming out of something other than your own trustee expense. Also, because it is 2 days, and because it makes sense that since there's no registration fee, that the amount of money we might have otherwise spent on a registration could be used for one night's accommodation. It will also save on transportation dollars back and forth. So we may find it's not that much of a difference. It's 2 nights? Oh, right, because it starts really early in the morning, right? So same concept. The idea being that driving back and forth and parking.
Trustee Daniele.
Thank you. I will be supporting this motion. And just to give you a little context, this was a very, very popular workshop. There were only 20 spots given to public school trustees across Ontario. And I'm very, very pleased that Chair Grabentz will be representing us on this. I know that you will represent us well, and I know you will bring the money back to us. So thank you for that.
Seeing no more speakers, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, so next we have an information item for this evening. Number 531, Oakville SCG Accommodation Report, Self-Contained Gifted Accommodation Report, Report 18025 on page 32 of your board package. And welcome, Superintendent Zonneveld.
Thank you and good evening. Trustees, you have before you this report on what's become an annual event, I think, for me here on the accommodation of students in our self-contained gifted classes in Oakville. And I hope that with this arrangement that we've arrived at, that I won't be here next year. I make no promises, but I'm hopeful because as you will see here, we are accommodating students that come through the primary nomination and assessment process in Oakville and at Pilgrimwood School, right through from grades 1 to 8, and students that come through the board-wide screening in grades 5 to 8 at W.H. Morden. And with this arrangement, we've eliminated a transition which we've had in the past for students attending Pilgrimwood, then needing to move to W.H. Morden. And also we've been able to respond to parent requests around students attending attending W.H. Morden from Oakwood for their English program in the intermediate grades. So all of this works and the schools are able to accommodate the students. Unfortunately, we can't promise that this will be a long-term solution because of the ongoing growth in Oakville. But we're optimistic that this will work for the foreseeable future. So be welcome to take any questions.
Trustee Oliver?
Through you, Chair. Thank you, Superintendent Zonneveld. I know that the parents and the students of the at the Pilgrimwood School will be very pleased that they're able to stay for the remainder of their elementary years at Pilgrimwood.
Trustee Harvey Hope.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. 2 questions. Is this the report that's on the schedule that says it's coming in April, that says gifted accommodation? That's the first question. There's a different one?
Sorry, I don't have the schedule in front of me. That might be gifted screening, response to a motion around gifted
placement,
screening.
but okay, so that's okay, gotcha. Thank you. And the other question I have is, what would happen if somebody in the Pilgrimwood sort of walk to catchment area is identified gifted in grades 4 or 5, that area? Could they choose not to go to Morden with the newly identified 5 to 8 cohort? Could they stay in their catchment area if Pilgrimwood Or is it if you're primary, you go to Pilgrimwood, and if you're after primary in grade 4 testing, you go to Oakwood, Morden?
Yes to the second one.
Trustee Collard?
Thank you. Through you to Superintendent Zonneveld. I know this has been an annual pursuit to try and find a way to accommodate these students, and we have a similar issue here in Burlington, and I'm hoping you can bring that kind of solution to Burlington as well, so that students can have a reduced number of transitions here.
Vice Chair Al Harrison?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. 2 questions. Firstly, thank you for the report. I just wondered if you could comment on who was consulted in the crafting of the recommendation, and then secondly, what the projected utilization rates look like for those 3 schools over the next couple of years.
Sure. Through the chair to the vice chair, those involved in the decision were the administrators from all 3 schools, as well as our staff from our planning department and the superintendents of the schools involved, and staff from student services. So those are the group looking at all the numbers and the long-term ability to accommodate, as well as the ability to provide high-quality programming in all the sites involved. So that was the voices at the table. And then the utilization rates, I'm sorry I don't have those here in front of me, but they are, oh, Dom has them right there. I do have them here in front of me. Thank you, Dom. And so the utilization rates, this is for September, start at 103% for Pilgrim Wood and climb to 106 by 2019 and then drop after that. W.H. Morden, the numbers continue to decline, which is great because currently they're at 141% there this year. That's the number of you can see the high number of portables there, and then I think there's 10 on site, and that drops to 134 next year, and then 117, and keeps on going down after that. And at Oakwood, it sits around 60 to 65% over the next 5 years. So all the schools can accommodate based on projections for the foreseeable future.
Director Miller?
Through Chair Drevens, also to Vice Chair Al Harrison, Superintendent Zonneveld, myself, and I believe Trustee Oliver had received several emails from the community early on, or not early on, in the fall, requesting this very thing. So although they weren't directly involved in the consultations, we had many, many emails from the community hoping that this would be the solution. So.
Do you have a follow-up? Okay, thank you very much. Trustee Collard.
Yes, this was also part of Superintendent Zonnefeld's report to SEAC last night. So SEAC has been informed, and there was very little discussion.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Superintendent Zonneveld. Okay, we are up to number 5.4, notices of motion. Are there any notices of motion? Trustee Collard?
Yes, trustees may remember me sending out an email regarding Bill 191, an act to amend the Education Act in relation to fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, and my wish for us to write a letter of support to this amendment. And so I will be bringing forward a report for the next meeting to write a letter of support for this amendment.
Thank you very much. Any other notices of motion? Seeing none. Next is the director's report.
Thank you, Chair Drabantz. I'll start with, we may have a big situation on Friday, and I am going to refer to Superintendent Ruddock to explain what that might be.
Thanks for that great lead-in. Through the chair, as you may know, we cooperate with Halton Public Health to enforce the Student Immunization Act. And this coming Friday, we will be enforcing the public health suspensions for students whose immunizations are not up to date. Our current list that's provided by Halton Public Health has 1,172 students facing suspension come Friday. That list is accurate as of last Friday, and our principals have been very diligent over the past week trying to speak directly with students and parents by email or in person or phone to urge them to get their records up to date and on record with Halton Public Health. We will get an updated list tomorrow morning, and we've done another ask to principals to connect with students and families directly again tomorrow. And we hope to see through all of these efforts that number greatly reduced come Friday morning.
Thank you. Yeah, we believe that it was important that trustees be made aware of this, because I'm sure trustees may get calls if students are suspended. Our messaging is making it clear that we are following the direction of public health, and these are not suspensions. We're just enforcing the rules, so to speak. So, sorry, Andrea.
Oh, there's a couple of questions, and I'll let Trustee Amos go first.
Thank you. I was at actually Iroquois Ridge earlier this week, and the principal spoke about that to school council and said that they had over 300 outstanding at that point. I think it was Tuesday, so it was yesterday. And the problem is public health is not going to release the next list till Friday morning. So those students will then be probably called down and told at that point if they're not off the list by then.
So we have been in almost daily contact with Halton Public Health, and we've asked for an updated list for tomorrow morning, so Thursday morning. So we have one more day to work on getting that number dwindled down. And I should add that this year the number is much higher than it has been in past years, because the public health is capturing 4 years of students that aren't compliant with their immunizations. Typically they capture 1 year, but they're playing a catch-up year this year, and so that's why our number is higher. This is across the province. This isn't just in the Halton region. But as I say, we're really working very hard with our principals and families to get that number down.
Thank you, Trustee Gray.
Thank you, through the chair. I wonder if it's possible that trustees be provided with any of the sample template letters or communications that parents have been receiving on this issue.
Through the chair, I can certainly do that. I can also provide you with a timeline of all of the communication that began in September and that has been frequent, both from public health and from the school board.
Director Miller.
And through you, Chair Drabantz, I'm wondering, I think we can provide some speaking notes for trustees as well. So we'll provide some speaking notes as well if you receive phone calls.
Thank you. And I actually have a comment. I'm wondering, as a parent of a high school student, and sitting here going, have I received an email? I'm wondering if there's any way we can work with public health to make a database that parents would be able to look up their student number and see, possibly when these things are due, because it's a stressful situation that we are now finding ourselves in, and it would be really nice if this could be mitigated by being proactive and putting it more in the parents' hands, and putting out, this is where you can check, be ready, next year your kid is on the list, or something like that. So of course I'm not directing anything or anything, but I'm just putting it out there. Trustee Harvey Hope.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. just to tell Trustee Gray, part of what, when we were on the email list for getting all of the parent emails from our schools, at one point last week, I think of my 4 elementary schools, I got 4 emails, which means that I did get a copy of all the emails that were being sent out to parents, because they just CC at the bottom of whoever's getting them. So I have to keep reminding myself I do not have a child in those schools anymore. So when I'm reading certain things that say, if you're receiving this email, it means your kid's offside. I have to keep reminding myself I'm copied on that email, because I don't have a child in the Halton system anymore. But that is how we can definitely share with the communication that was going out. And as a parent of a child who declined certain immunizations, despite me filling out the paperwork to say yes, a couple of years later it catches up, and at that point the child was okay with now having these shots, but we also then had to go down to public health and catch up on all of them. So I would think possibly that list or the database that you're talking about would be a good idea, but possibly June would be the better time to say, oh, by the way, you're heading into high school. Do you have these? And also that list of what they used to want has changed, right? And so that's part of the issue, is that somewhere along the line they added Menactra. And so students that were supposedly all the way up to date, and then all of a sudden, oh, no, you aren't, because you didn't have that one. And so that list of what you need has also been evolving. And so perhaps that's another one of those ones that could be just, highlighted in that June getting ready for September grade 8 thing. Because between what the vaccine companies the doctors keep just sort of changing their minds on what people want, and also changing schools, etc. Sometimes you think you're up to date, and you may not be up to date with what now is required.
Superintendent Ruddick, did you want to respond at all?
Through the chair, to the chair and to Trustee Harvey Hope, thank you for those suggestions. I think that doing a reminder early in the school year around not just that your child might be missing a vaccination, but what that is, what the vaccinations to date would be required, would be very helpful for parents. That's certainly one of the pieces of feedback that we've got from parents, is that they weren't always sure what was needed. At the request of public health, in fact, though, we're stepping out of the business of collecting immunization information on behalf of public health, starting this January with kindergarten registrations. Halton Public Health will be starting a communication campaign to the public about how parents are to upload their own information around immunizations to their website, and we have supported that campaign by postcards that are included in our registration packages. So we're really promoting that parents make sure that their records are up to date with Halton Public Health.
Thank you. Director Miller, you can continue your report.
The next one is at Committee of the Whole, not last week, 3 weeks ago, and I mentioned it at the last board meeting. As all trustees are aware and the public's aware that we had conducted a PAR, and there was an administrative review, and there were some recommendations in that administrative review that we as a board should be considering. Recommendations are recommendations. They're not diktats. Is that a word? Yeah. And therefore, we've created a matrix that trustees saw at Committee of the Whole and made some suggestions around some wording changes. We've adjusted the wording, and as a result, this on Monday, this matrix will be posted on the board's website on one of the banners. We have 5 banners at the front. It'll be posted there for about 25 days. In addition, Superintendent Blackwell, in her PAR update, will be including elements of it in every update on what's going to, on how the board is responding to the recommendations. Or maybe not how the board is responding to the recommendation, but how we as a board are considering the recommendations that were presented by the administrative review. Some are specifically related to Board of Trustees, but those are also related to the PAR guidelines that the province is currently reviewing. So some of them will not be considered until those new guidelines come out and we develop a new policy. To give an example, there was one around aligning PAR policy with bylaws. The trustees, Board of Trustees, will consider that, look at that, but they will not be enacting on it until we know what the province provides in terms of guidelines and then the development of our policy out of that. So this will be posted on the board's website for 25 days. It'll be included in PAR updates. And that's about it for the matrix right now. So, and we'll have it on the board's website in the PAR section as well. The next one is, I know trustees received it and all our staff received it, but our board produced a fantastic video of all Halton students who are participating in the Winter Olympics. So were we going to show it? We don't have to show it because everybody's got it. I think you all have the link, right?
Kevin can probably do it. Go for it, Kevin. It's on our website.
I think for public purposes, if the board will indulge us to see this for the public purposes. Okay.
Trustee Daniele?
Thank you. Obviously, we have an incredible amount to be proud of. We have amazing schools producing amazing people. I did know that Travis Garrett's was up there as a freestyle skier from Milton District High School. Unfortunately, Travis is unable to compete due to injuries, but he is making great use of his time. I had lunch with his mom and coach today. He's making great use of his time. He was featured during the Bell Mental Health Day because he's come publicly out and talked about his battles with type 1 bipolar disorder. And he's doing amazing work there. And he's also, because he can't be over in China, he is spending a great deal of time in our schools talking to our kids. So he may not be in China, but he is still doing incredible work, and we're very proud of him.
Thanks for that.
I failed geography, and I'm an English major. Trivial pursuit geography was always my worst subject, so Korea, obviously.
Thanks for that, Trustee Daniele. And Travis would have been a medal favorite, actually. So that shows you the great stuff that's going on, and that's just in athletics, all the other great things that go on. And we're going to finish off with some really great news about the entire board that we've just learned this evening. Executive Officer McFadden.
Yes, it's my pleasure to inform the board that the Halton District School Board has been chosen by Forbes Media as one of the top 300 employers in Canada. Yes. How this happens is totally without any cooperation from the board. It's done through a third-party statistical firm that surveys over 8,000 employees in Canada about their jobs and their employer. So it's completely separate from us as a board. Employees are asked about whether they would recommend their employer as an employer of choice, and then they're asked a series of questions about their working conditions, salary, potential for development, and their company image. And for example, Google is the #1 employer in Canada. We are number 84 out of 300. TD Bank is 274. Morneau Chappelle, our EAP provider, is 258. Sun Life, 197. Apple, 89. So we beat Apple. And the only school board that is above us is the Ottawa District School Board, which was number 10. So I believe this is the first time we've made the list, and I think it's wonderful news.
Thank you, Executive Officer McFadden. And we have one final, since it's the good news night and the things come in threes, I would like to, on behalf of staff, and I know the Board of Trustees will join in, one of our principals was named one of Canada's outstanding principals, which you all saw, Peter Marshall of Boyne Public Schools. So congratulations, Peter.
Thank you, Director Miller. Okay, next is communications from the chair. So we received a letter from the newly appointed Minister of Education, the Honorable Indira Naidoo-Harris, and I was wondering if I could ask Ms. Gortmaker to add this letter to the minutes. I will forward it on, and it's already been added to our trustees' correspondence folder. The annual general meeting of the Halton Student Transportation Service happened on Wednesday, January the 31st, in the boardroom of the Halton Catholic District School Board, just letting you know that that happened. And on January 29th, I presented at the Ministry of Finance 2018 budget discussions in Hamilton. I spoke specifically about the need for transparency in the funding of education so that all stakeholders understand what is funded, how much, and based on what criteria. I spoke to budget pressures in the areas of special education and transportation, as well as recent additional pressures concerning the recent and upcoming raises in the minimum wage. Finally, I asked the government to put mental health and well-being initiatives, especially at the child and youth level, at the forefront as we have critical and growing needs around student wellness and mental health. So I am seeking final comments to be considered for the accompanying submission by tomorrow. So if you have any, please add them to the Google Doc that I have sent the link for. And that is everything from me. So now we are up to committee reports. Vice Chair Al Harrison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to recap that the Committee of the Whole met last Wednesday, and we had a really great and informative report from Leslie Mansfield of Halton Learning Foundation, and she talked of the rising need for support in Halton, but she also talked of over 800 new supporters this year. So that was really fantastic, and it's great to see how the community is coming together to support our students. And in addition to the numbers, she also shared some stories, and for me, that piece of personal impact really drove home the valuable work of the HLF. We had a few more items on the agenda that night. Firstly, we talked about harnessing opportunities for and during conversations with elected reps from other levels of government to further the business of the board in support of our students. We also talked about the process and criterion that we would utilize to select trustees for any identified opportunities. And lastly, Chair Gerbentz launched a reporting template, which I guess she'll get to use for her upcoming conference, just so we can report back on our learnings to the entire board. And lastly, we have deferred our items of February 14th to a subsequent meeting. So our next meeting will be February 24th. Is that right? 28th. Yes. Don't come on the 24th. Come on the 28th. Thank you.
Trustee Collard.
Thank you. Yes, the Special Education Advisory Committee met last night. As you heard, we had a presentation from Superintendent Zonnefeld regarding the changes to the self-contained gifted in Oakville. We also did a review of the Spec Ed Plan subcommittee's work, and that will be coming to the board, I believe, in March for a first look. We had discussions about agenda items for the future, including presentations from associations and some discussions about communications and the process that parents go through when they first realize that their student may need assistance. It was a good meeting. We ended, I think, around 9 o'clock. It wasn't so bad. So, yes. But we'll be earlier tonight.
Trustee Harvey Hope.
Just a heads up to my fellow trustees. Coming out of the Joint Health and Safety Committee, there was a concussion awareness program that has hit the ground running this week, and I circulated the 3 different posters that were shared with the staff because trustees didn't quite make it into the very long email chain. So I circulated those, and also there was one about parking lot safety, and since we're always here late at night, I thought that would be a good one as well. So just to tell you that all of the joint health and safety stuff is available through the MyHDSB. It's just that occasionally I know we might not get around to checking it, so I'm forwarding certain things that I think might need a little highlighting.
Thank you. Trustee Gray.
Thank you. Through the chair, Trustee Harvey Hope and Trustee Graves and myself, all 3 of us issue a special invitation to all trustees to join us at the audit committee meeting next Tuesday, starting at 2 p.m. And we wish to have anyone who would like to attend that meeting. We issue that invitation.
And that seems to be it for committee reports. Okay, now we're on to trustee questions and comments. Actually, Clint, can you clear yourself for a second? Okay. Now go ahead. Trustee Daniele.
Thank you very much. First of all, my personal thanks to all the trustees that were able to take part in some or all of the Public Education Symposium. Halton always has the largest turnout from amongst the boards, and I'm very, very pleased to see that. I will be putting my notes in. I thank Chair Gerbentz for setting up the conference notes within but I will look to all of you because my notes are rather lengthy. Do you want me to put them into that document or not? Let me know. Immediately following the Public Education Symposium, I was fortunate enough to attend the Holocaust Education Conference, and that the Saturday night was a special presentation. We were honored by the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center. They presented us with a gift certificate that recognizes us for demonstrating leadership and joining the January 27th initiative recognizing International Holocaust Remembrance Day. So I will pass that on to the Director of Education, and we were also given a book, and with the plate inside the book, again, comments about our recognition of International Holocaust Day and its research and teaching and learning about the Holocaust. It was 2 full days of learning from Holocaust survivors and the leading Holocaust educators. It was absolutely amazing. I have put my notes into the conference section that you put for trustees, so you can all find them there as well. I will send you a link to this. This was the publication that they did this year, Best Practices in Holocaust Education. I have an essay in there, but even more importantly, there is an amazing essay on perspective in history at the Ridge by Erin Leahy, a teacher at Iroquois Ridge. And it is well worth a read. So I will send you the link to everyone so that you can have a look at this document if you so choose. And my thanks to Director Miller for giving up his Sunday to come and spend at the conference. I'm sure you found it as moving and educational experience as I did, and thank you for taking that time.
Thank you, Trustee Daniele, and I just echo those words. It was, those are difficult conferences to go to, but it is well worth it, and it's one they're going to do every year, and I would like to see if we can have more people there. There's a fear that it's getting more and more distant in people's minds of what happened, and it's important that we keep children and ourselves educated about it.
Trustee Oliver.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I have a recommendation that I guess falls somewhere within the scope of a school naming subcommittee, but I would like to recommend that maybe it gets documented somewhere for future consideration, and that's to do with the closure of Robert Bateman and Lester B. Pearson schools, and the removal of those names from our schools listing. These are great Canadians, and I would like to suggest that their names be considered for any future Halton schools that will be built.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Gray.
Thank you very much. Just within the last few minutes, we've had the chance to watch a video that celebrates the great many athletes that are representing Canada and who have been students here in the Halton District School Board. Recently, at a special meeting at Georgetown District High School, Superintendent Padre Barrick and I, as we walked through the hallways, couldn't help but notice a celebratory hallway, and I just came to learn today what that hallway was all about. It was celebrating the parents. In fact, an employee currently, an EA at Georgetown District High School by the name of Janet Bergman, who is the proud mother of snowboarder Zoe Bergman. So what a great celebration of not only the fact that we have these wonderful athletes, but also recognizing the tremendous commitment and dedication of the parental group that supported all of these athletes in Halton. And so I just wanted to say that shout out to that EA at Georgetown, Janet Bergman, tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Trustee Pappen.
Thank you. Through the chair. As we all know, February is Black History Month, and every February, Canadians are invited to take part in the festivities and events that honor the legacy of Black Canadians, past and present. Black History Month originated in 1926 by Carter Godwin Woodson as Negro History Week. The month of February was chosen in honor of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, who both were born in February. This is a time to celebrate the many achievements, contributions of Black Canadians who throughout history have done much to make Canada the culturally diverse, compassionate, and prosperous nation that we know today. It is also an opportunity for the majority of Canadians to learn about the experiences of Black Canadians in our society and the vital role this community has played throughout our shared history. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Trustee Harvey Hope.
I hate having to follow that. I really wish I'd gotten it in front. I just wanted to thank my fellow trustees and some of the senior admin for picking up all the different things I let drop in January due to all the family funerals we had. So I appreciate it, and I know my regrets were noted for the minutes, but the reason why I wasn't here wasn't. So I just wanted to say thank you for all of your support.
Thank you very much. And seeing no more speakers, may I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, Trustee Gray and Trustee Amos, thank you very much. Any discussion on adjourning? No? All in favor? And that passes unanimously with everybody in the room. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.